Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to have you join me today because we are experimenting in a new area with you. We are going to talk about digital scrapbooking in Silhouette Studio. Okay guys, so here we are in Silhouette Studio, and I'm starting off by giving you this sneak peek here because it, in my opinion, is actually fairly difficult to come up with a scrapbook page design all on your own. I think that is definitely half the battle. So if I give you this little preview ahead of time, I think it'll be easier for you to visualize what our finished product will look like. And so like I said, this is going to be, in my opinion, best as a digital scrapbooking page, but many of the elements that we're combining and using, you can actually do those as a print and cut and put them together on a real scrapbooking page too. So definitely don't be discouraged if you are a more traditional scrapbooker. You can still apply some of these same principles, but I just like the ease of digital scrapbooking because I can either save this to a digital photo album for electronic storage. You can actually put them together in an ebook. You can share them with people, or you can print them out on a wide format printer and trim them down and insert them in your scrapbook binder, your scrapbook album, just as one single finished page. So definitely a lot of options with digital scrapbooking. So we are working with this in Silhouette Studio, and I find that super easy because I think Silhouette Studio is easy, but just remember that you can also do this in other types of software if you want. So the first thing we're going to do, let's break this apart and show you what we're working with. So I have a background, I have a photo with two separate mats, I have the monster. Now the monster and balloons are actually two separate things. And then this is a bow and arrow. And this is a one word bubble and then the text that I typed out myself. Okay, so with that being said, let's put that back together real quick. I'm just using the undo button. Okay, so I like to do drag and drop for bringing in all of my elements. So we will go straight to our downloads folder. And this is going to be, let's see, here's our seamless papers. Now, black and white was not an option, and even though I really loved these colors, I do feel like the colors were a little strong and they took away from the bright colors of the clip art that I was working with. So I think I actually chose this one. And then once you are in here, you can select this clip art. So with the clip art selected, then you can come over here to your image effects and go ahead and change that to a 100% gray shade. I also wanted this on a smaller scale, so I came over here and I locked my aspect ratio and I sized this to a 4x4. All right, so position that. You can actually use your align, position all the way to the left and all the way to the top. And then you can use, guys, I like to use the keyboard shortcut. I'm going to hold down Control and I'll hit the right, and then if I select all three of these, Control down and down. So now let's go ahead and group these together. And if I open the fill panel, here's where I can control the transparency to make it lighter. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. Now, you can do this with any seamless pattern. If you don't have a seamless pattern, that's okay. You can still use seamless or regular patterns that aren't seamless. But if you're wanting to tile it like this to scale down, then that's where the seamless is going to come into play. So with the background in place, it is time to go ahead and bring in the clip art and also our photo. So I will go ahead and do that using the same drag and drop method. I'm going to go ahead and slide my screen over. That way I have plenty of room to drag those clip art over here. So back in my downloads folder, I now want to find, here is my Valentine Monster clip art. Now I did already download and unzip this folder, so just remember that you may have to unzip it. And we have this monster here, and this bow and arrow, the balloons, and the word bubble. And then of course I need to go back to my downloads and find my photo. I'll use a different photo. So when you're doing the drag and drop, just make sure that you are not dragging and dropping those onto each other. So I can temporarily move this if I want to, because we are going to need to trace these. And that is part of what I wanted to show you in the tutorial, is that you can trace and detach this clip art. It's not a feature that I use very often, but let me show you how it works. So I'm going to select my trace area. All right, select whatever it is that I'm working with here. Go ahead and increase the threshold to 99 and the scale down to 4. Now I did 99 because usually that will fill it in all the way when I'm using clip art like this without going overboard. And then I can use trace and detach. So there is our trace and detach. Okay, very, very neat. Now this one might be a little bit different because we don't want to have this inner part. Okay, we don't want the white to be filled in right there. So let me show you how you would handle that. Go ahead and do the same thing. Increase to 99 and reduce the scale all the way down. Fill everything in. Now watch what I mean. If I hit trace and detach, then it gives me the inside of the bow too. So that's not what I want to do. So let me show you guys. We will do a regular trace on this one. Still the 99 and just hit trace. And then we can select this whole thing and use crop. And it basically does the same thing, but it crops out everything outside of the bow and arrow. And this one we should also be able to use trace and detach. It's really just when you have those inside pieces that you're not wanting to include that you have to do the little modified version. There we go, one monster. And now we will actually have to do the same thing that we did on the bow and arrow on this one. Let me tell you why, because there are inside pieces of the balloon strings and inside pieces here, okay? But that's okay, it's really easy. So we're just going to select it all, make sure it's scaled down, change our threshold to 99 and hit trace, and then select the whole thing again and crop. Okay, so those are all the individual pieces that we will be working with. I can go ahead and put these together if I want to. I'm going to send the balloons behind the hand so it looks like they're being held, and we can group those together. And this is the little text box that I will use for my text. So now let's talk about the image. We obviously want it to be sized down so that it looks natural here in the photo, or rather natural on the page. I don't really like my photos to be straight up and down, so you will notice in a lot of mine I give them just a little twist. And now I achieved the different layers, the matting look, by using the offset panel. And I usually go about 0.1, and here, let's come back over here. And what I did was I was able to select a color from the design that I was working with. So I'm using that little eyedropper tool here, and I can click on any of the clip art. Okay, now I can offset again, and I'm going to do this one for white because that's what gives it the separation from the background. And we're going to do that on all of our clip art pieces because I think it just really adds some definition. Okay, so let's put our background back in place, and we can also select those and group them together. So that way they will stay together. Okay, so this is our little word bubble. I can bring it to front and let's twist it a little bit. I don't actually want it to cover up the photo. Okay, and then we can put our monster here and size him down and add our bow and arrow. Okay, so with those in place, let me show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to select, I'm going to hold down my shift key and click on the other two clip art, and I can go ahead and group those together. And I'll tell you why, because I'm going to do an offset of each of those. I'm going to do the same, the 0.1. Actually, I'm going to go a little smaller. Let's try 0.07. Okay, now there's only one thing that we need to look out for. See how the inside of these, let me zoom in and show you, because we cropped out the inside of those hearts. So I am actually going to release the compound path. Okay, I'm going to hold down my Shift key and click on those hearts and then remake the compound path. And what that will allow me to do is to come in here and delete those out. So now on all of my offsets, I can do the same thing. I can hold down the Shift key and select multiple at one time, fill them in with white, and change my line color. Now what that does is, see how I have a border around the monster and around the clip art here? It just gives them, in my opinion, better definition. Okay, it helps them to pop out from the background and from the picture here. And then I just want to add some text, which is really super easy. This says Girls' Day. All right, so I can select all of these. I'm actually going to grab the same color that's filling in the eyes, because it's not quite black, it's actually a dark gray, and turn off my line color. And then I actually had already picked out the font that I wanted to use. And of course, guys, I linked the clip art and the clip art, the background, and the font for you in the description down below. And I can bring these over here and arrange them however I see fit. I can even give them a little twist so that they line up. And remember that sometimes when we're looking at the text, it looks small, but it's actually going to be quite large. And if you're ever in doubt, look over here in your text style panel. It says 39.76. I don't know if you remember back like to your college or high school days, but an average size font for like say an essay or a research paper is usually like a size 12. All right, so this font is definitely going to be large enough. And then of course I can decide where that's not what I wanted, where my paragraph is going to cut off. And I can even center it. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do, and I add these a lot to a lot of different things that I do, are these little circles. And I'm just going to fill with a similar color. Here we will actually fill with that color there and take off your line color. And I'm going to use the same shortcuts that you guys have been seeing me do, the Control Right. And then I actually want it to jump over a little bit, so I'll hit Shift Right. So Control Right, Shift Right, Control Right, Shift Right, Control Right, Shift Right. And you can do that as many times as you want. And then of course we will group those together, size them down, and rotate them also. And they will just serve as a little border for my text. It's a little too tilted. So it just gives that title some definition there. So now I'm going to select all of that in the Word box. See, it selected my background too, so I'm going to hold down Shift key and I can select my photo. Just go ahead and group all that together. You may be asking, what does that do? Well, that is going to get rid of that underline there, and it just keeps everything in place. Looks like it did not layer the way that I wanted it to. That's okay. We'll take our picture off, group it, and then include our picture. I'm always a big fan of grouping once I get it in the format that I want it, in the order that I want it. That's what I should say. So now, guys, I would be able to print this out or save it. Remember that saving in something other than just the basic studio file, you will need you need to upgrade to Business Edition, which I have, or you can install a PDF printer similar to Bullzip. Bullzip is what I use, and you can also use Bullzip to save as a PNG, JPEG, or a PDF, and probably a few other styles too. But like I said, then you can either upload this to, some sort of sharing platform. You can print it out. You can upload it and have it book bound, anything that you need to do with it. But that is how easy it is to make a digital scrapbook layout. And we actually didn't even use any special tools. We used the clip art in the background, but those are so versatile that I could make matching stickers, and there are so many other things that I could do. So definitely keep your mind open when you think of digital scrapbooking, and I think you'll find that you have a lot of the tools already available. So guys, how did you feel about digital scrapbooking in Silhouette Studio? Now, like I said in the beginning, this is a very, very versatile way of scrapbooking because you can just as easily cut out those pieces and put them on a physical page as you can use them in a digital format and either print them as as one solid image page, or have them printed for you and maybe even bound in a book. But I'll be honest with you, lately my favorite has just been being able to store them digitally, and then hopefully I will compile a larger book for my kids to be able to look through and hopefully replicate for them, and they can have a copy, and just lots of good things happen when you're able to take advantage of this type of crafting in multiple ways. So if you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave that down below. Of course, if you have any video requests, I always love to hear that from you guys. And of course, in return, please make sure you do that like, subscribe, and share. That's what keeps our channel going so that we can keep bringing you more tutorials in the future. So thanks again, guys. I know I say it all the time, but I really do appreciate you stopping by, and we will see you next time.